This conference will now be recorded.
Everyone, thank you Naveen Sarma for beautiful zikr. Let us start with Maula's name. That Maula Meherban. We seek your mercy, Maula. We seek your help, Maula. Ya Maula, we are very poor, Maula. Ya Maula, be the light on the tongue, Maula. Be the light in the heart, Maula. Ya Maula Meherban. Help us, Maula. Without your help, Maula, we are nothing, Maula. Ya Mawla, it is all due to you, Mawla. It is all your mercy, Mawla. Ya Mawla Meherban, please help us, Mawla. Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakeel wa ni'mal mawla wa ni'mal nasir. Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakeel wa ni'mal mawla wa ni'mal nasir. Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakeel wa ni'mal mawla wa ni'mal nasir. Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakeel wa ni'mal mawla wa ni'mal nasir. Ali Allah madad farma, al hayy al qayyum, Ali Allah madad farma. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah, we've been studying this book of healing through knowledge of Quran, and we are studying the chapter Allusion of Dream. In our last gathering, we had covered 4 points, which I briefly will summarize, and then we'll continue to go further. So this chapter is about dreams. Dreams, in reality, it is a whole world. A world of dreams. This world is beautiful. This world is full of wonders and marvels. This world exists kind of in between body and the soul. Therefore, it is unusual, strange, unfamiliar kind of experiences one has when they are dreaming. Only those who have knowledge. With knowledge, their deeds are good, and they are walking on the path of elevating themselves. When someone is following taqwa, purity of deeds, having the fear of Imam in their heart, what happens? Due to their knowledge, due to their purification of their deeds, they develop this ability to be able to realize what the symbols which are shown in the dreams are meaning. Again, remember this development which we are talking about, it's not initial development. As the journey of knowledge is long, it's a beautiful journey. With the journey of knowledge, when a Mu'min and Salik develops themselves with knowledge and action, when they are having this ilmul yaqeen, certitude of knowledge to recognize the Imam. And on the journey of recognizing the Imam, a Mu'min and Salik actually recognizes himself. The way we have heard this saying of Maula Ali, or even Hadith, almost same, Man arfa nafsihi faqad arfa rabbih. That the one who recognizes their soul will recognize the Lord. On this path, when a Mu'min and Salik is developing themselves, they are actually able to understand their dreams. Soul of an ordinary person, the person who lives a worldly life, always have worldly thoughts, worldly imagination. When he or she sleeps, the inner world is as if it is dead. Why? The sleep is also influenced by deeds. जैसे अमाल होंगे ऐसे ही ख्वाब होंगे. If the deeds are impure, if the desires are of the carnal soul, the world of dreams is also dark. Only the good deeds brings this spirituality close to Momini. During the daytime, when we live our worldly life, our physical senses overpower everything we do. It is due to the senses we hear, talk, listen, see. All that is going on through our physical senses. But when we go to sleep, these senses actually shut down. These senses actually shut down. When these senses do shut down, automatically the internal senses are awake. Now, when I say awake, remember the condition is that the person has to be momin salik. The thoughts have to be pure, based on taqwa, purity of deeds, fear of Allah, remembrance. All those actions are very important. When internal senses are awake and they are not in control of human being, internal senses are going on its own. So what happens when a Mu'min Salik is sleeping, the sleep time is the time for body to rest. In reality, normally people would think that the reason we sleep is actually to rest. That is not only the objective. For a Mu'min Salik, when they have shut eye, they immediately start traveling in the world of dreams, seeing things, learning things, finding out things. In reality, the sleep for the soul serves the purpose of getting the accounts of that day. However, the day we have spent, whatever we have done, the soul will serve as if X-rays have been taken, and those X-rays in the form of dreams will be shown to the person who is sleeping. The way in the physical world we have so many machines being invented to diagnose what are the health problems. X-ray machine, CT scan, so many different types of scopes and whatnot. All those diagnostic tools are used to identify where the disease is. When the disease is identified, the diagnosis is confirmed, then only the treatment can be prescribed. Otherwise, a lot of energy goes into identifying what is going on. That is through medical sciences or physical sciences. Very beautifully, same principle exists in Ruhaniyat. There is spiritual science, and the world of dreams serves for us as a spiritual science, part of it. When we sleep, our soul examines what we have done in the whole day. And that examination is through two angels. We call them Karamin and Katibin. In Quran, their names are Karamin and Katibin. Maula Ali's saying is there too, that these two angels are recording everything what we do. Based on their documentation, their keeping the record of our every thought, everything, whatever is going on in our conscious, subconscious, everything is being recorded. And then the soul actually communicates to us through this internal senses, Batni senses, giving us this dream for us to see, to find out what is the What is our report card? What is the result? How did we spend our day? All that is given to Mu'min Salih during the dream time. So it's a whole world of dream. And this dream world come into existence when the outer world is kind of, our connection to the outer world is disconnecting. It's cut, it's shut. And that is why this communication of the soul through these angels do come into in the form of the dreams, and we see that. This world in itself is a whole world. And the soul is also a complete world in itself. And it sees everything what we do. Everything is recorded. When we are awake, of course, our physical physical senses are overpowering. And all the organs are functioning. As soon as we sleep, the physical powers are gone. All organs are kind of resting. At minimum level of functioning is happening. So in other words, what we are saying, that study of the dream is part of understanding spiritual science. Those who understand these kalimat, they are able to understand their dreams. Then we had studied Quranic words. Before we go there, let me just tell you that there are 4 types of world which we have to remember. The world which we see outside, the external world, the world we live in. Then there is a world of imagination, ALWAEZA. And this khayal word is actually from imagination, and that is why we sit in Baitul Khayal, the world of imagination. And in that Baitul Khayal, we have Ism-e Azam to help us to get into that world. With the practice of ibadat of Ism-e Azam, during the daytime, purification of our deed, ilmu amal, meaning seeking knowledge and applying the knowledge in the life. What happens? This world of dreams starts awakening in ourselves. There are people who would say they see dreams every day, but they can't remember it. There will be people who say, oh, I don't see the dreams. Every thing which is being said, there is a reason for it. Those who see their dreams and remember their dreams, they would know that they see different things. The points we had studied, it did tell us that there are countless symbols which are shown to us in the dream. Countless symbols. Again, based on the knowledge, based on the awareness of spirit and spirituality, one would be able to understand it. How will that happen? Because the soul will take x-rays. Our soul will go through this diagnosis. What did we do? What is the accounts of the day? And the disease will be diagnosed and the communication will be given to us in our world of dreams. Then we had studied this verse from chapter 30, verse 23, in which Allah says that He shows His signs. Can we imagine that He shows His signs? Nishaniyan dikhata hai wo in our sleep. Indeed, in that are sign for people who listen. Now, during the sleep, how are we listening to these signs? Sometimes when you look at these words, it's kind of, does not make sense. They're illogical, meaning that we need to really reflect and think what is being said here. Because whenever in Quran, if it doesn't make sense, meaning there is a secret hidden behind it. In this verse, Allah is saying that Allah shows His signs, but those who are wise, those who have knowledge, they will be able to listen to those signs with how? Through their batni ears. Though we see the dreams, But the dreams are not limited to seeing. In the dreams, we listen to things too, meaning that all our senses, which are Batni senses, can be active in that dream. Depending on the level of that Momin Salik, they are able to see the signs. And when we talk of signs, we did discuss some of the signs because they are given in the chapter. For example, if someone sees water. Now this water, is it a spring water, clean water, or is it a dirty water? Water, the parable of the water, the batin of this water allegory is knowledge, true knowledge. If the water is dirty, meaning this is not pure water, this is not the true knowledge which is existing in our life, our interest, our life is revolving around dirty water. It's not a clean water, pure water. So depending what is the source of the water, how does the water look, that's what it means. We also talked about the parable of mountain. Mountain is indicated, alluded for intellect. And we had talked about an example of Kohetur. Kohetur is the mountain where Hazrat Musa alayhi salam used to go to see the Didar of Allah. When we understand this parable of mountain, we are able to realize that he would go to the station of intellect. The Didar was Aqli Didar. This Didar is the highest Didar. The way we say Zahiri, Batini, Nurani Didar. That Didar at Kohetur was the most highest Didar. But in context of us learning about mountain, when we see mountains, it alludes to intellect. Again, there are darjat, that how we would see that. There are ranks, but when we see the mountain, it represents, it indicates intellect. And then we had studied another verse, chapter 4, verse 69. Interestingly, in this verse it says, those who obey Allah and the Messenger, Allah bestows favor upon them. Bestows the favor of the prophets. Those who obey Allah, the Messenger, Allah bestows the favor of the prophets on those who are truthful, who are martyrs, and who are righteous. And we had talked about these terms, Siddiqeen, Shuhada, Salihin. These are the three terms which are mentioned. Now, what does this verse mean? How do we relate to it? Those who are believers, those who are righteous, जो ईमान लाए हैं, they believe in Allah, who is Noor-e Mujarrad, abstract Noor, and after Allah, who sends prophets, the Noor-e Mujassam, and Prophet Muhammad announced Imamat of Maula Ali, Noor-e Mujassam, the embodied Noor. So those who obey Allah, those who obey the Prophet, those who obey Imam, for them there will be favor of the prophets. Now what is that favor? When we read about Prophet Muhammad, when he was asked, he says that there are very many miracles of prophethood, but I leave one miracle for true mu'minins. I leave one miracle for true mu'minins, and that miracle is 46th miracle of Nabuwat. There are so many miracles of Paigambar. 46th miracle is the miracle of dream. Dream which would communicate to us, give us the diagnosis, and that's how we then seek treatment. So 46th miracle is actually given and left by Prophet for true mu'minins. In this verse, Allah is saying those who obey Allah and the Prophet, they will be bestowed the favors of the Prophet. What is that favor? That favor, that inam, that grace is actually dreams. But for that, one has to be truthful, one has to be martyrs and righteous. If we were to study these terms, we can briefly understand that truth is from honesty. Those who follow the hakikat. Hakikat is with Iman. Those who are martyrs, shuhada. These are not physical martyrs we are talking about. The tawil of martyrs is here. Those who fight the carnal soul. When they fight the carnal soul, they are not in the slavery of animal soul within themselves, meaning they are pious mu'mineen, they are pure mu'mineen, and they are righteous. For them, this bounty is kept for them. And then we beautifully talked about Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam and his dream. Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam is mentioned in Quran that he has a sound heart, qalb salim, meaning his heart was always in peace, always with Iman in remembrance. For him, his dreams are mentioned about him in 2 chapters, and these verses are right in front of you. That when he looked at the stars in his dream, he sees the stars. And you know what he says? He says, "Indeed, I am ill." Now, stars are beautiful. They are in the sky, and sky is beautiful. Why would he say that when he saw stars, he says, "I am ill"? Through this verse, we had learned that according to the ranks of Mu'minins, their dreams are. Because the dreams are based on the accounts of their days. When Prophet Ibrahim sees the dream of a star, he says, "I am ill." So what does a star allude to? A star is an allegory, it is a parable for actually Pir. Star is an allegory for Pir. When Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam sees star in his dream, he says, "I am ill." Meaning, implying that his rank was higher than that. When you see higher signs in your dream and suddenly you start seeing something else. For example, let's take simpler example, okay? Every day in your dream you see beautiful water collected from rain, or you see ocean, beautiful water. Day after day you are seeing this beautiful dream and you wake up so happy, and suddenly then there's a dream that there is a dirty water, nala nazar aa raha hai, ganda pani nazar aa raha hai. What happened? During the daytime there was bad amali. Deeds were not pure. Bad thoughts were in the mind, and it impacts our soul, because the record keepers would write it down that the amals are bad. So what will happen? The progress which we have made in our world of dream, it goes down and we see bad things. So Prophet, being Prophet, his dreams were very elevated, and we know very famous dream of Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam, that he had seen that he is sacrificing his son. He is sacrificing his son, and he understands when he wakes up that the meaning was that he had to let his son go on the path of the work of the Lord. Meaning, implying that the tawil is that Maulana Ismail actually became Imam. He dedicated his life for the Ummah at that time. That was his dream. So he was Paigambar. So we have to understand in what context we are talking about that he says, "Indeed, I am ill." He wasn't ill, but he could see, he was able to see this X-rays from his dream that he saw stars, and he immediately concluded, "Indeed, I am ill." And he had to work on it to get the treatment, to heal himself. Then we studied chapter 6, 75 to 79, and in that we had read um, that he sees stars, moon, sun rising, all different signs. And this was when he was younger. So when he sees the stars in his dream, he says, ah, this shining star in the sky is definitely my Lord. And he says, definitely you are my Lord. But then he says, then he sees the moon. Moon is much bigger, massive in comparison to star. So he says, this moon is my Lord. But when the day comes, the sun is rising and sun is so huge, powerful. He said, no, moon cannot be my Lord. Sun is my Lord. Why this verses were mentioned? That how these signs do communicate to us where we are progressing in our soul level. The more we have recognition of Imam through the level of knowledge, we are able to progress to higher recognition of Imam. So in terms of star, we talked about that Mafi star is an allegory for thy. Star is an allegory for thy. Moon is Pir. Moon is Pir. And the sun is an allegory for Imam. So when he was seeing the star, meaning he was seeing the thy, and he was saying, I am ill. But then later on we see in other verses that he saw a thy, then he sees moon, Pir, then he sees the Imam, and then he recognizes him that yes, indeed my Lord is at the level of sun. So in the worldly life, when we see stars, moons, and sun, we think, oh, these are different planets. They are there and they have their function and they shine. This shows the direction at night time. Moonlight shows us the direction. During the daytime, due to sun, we have electricity, we have power, we have growth, we have agriculture, whatnot. Everything is due to sun. These are physical functions of these physical signs. But in the world of dreams, they mean something else. For that, when we have knowledge, we are able to understand. So all this discussion, because we had studied it and we have learned from knowledge, now if we were to see these things in the dreams, we will be able to decode our, uncode our dreams and understand what it means. But remember, we have to remember that the difference is if a moment is not just a term, general moment, that moment has to be moment as salik. An ordinary person dream may not be that elevated. It may not mean anything. Anybody's dream cannot be, that kind of elevated dream. It may not mean anything. For us to have the dreams which are giving us the results, which are communicating to us what is the disease, spiritual disease we are having, for that our amal has to be pure. Those who are ordinary people and they see dreams, it's just subconscious, whatever they have done during the daytime, they see it, it doesn't mean anything. But for Momin and Salik, who checks his pulse and he goes to bed and says, Mola, I want to elevate in my Ruhaniyat. Please help me. Show me in my dreams where am I lacking. These are habits of our peers and Paigambars. So the world of dreams is actually also teaches us how? By showing the x-rays of our soul. And we talked about the allegory of water, mountain, garden represents the heavens. That we know that in heavens there will be beautiful trees and flowers and gardens. So if someone sees garden, that's what they are seeing, that they are traveling in paradise. The way I was talking to one of the friend and we were talking about a Kalame Mola, that when we sit in Ilmi gathering, Mola has said in Kalame Mola, it is as if we are in the garden of heavens, Bihisht ki Wadi. If we are sitting in an ilmi mehfil, it is as if we are sitting in paradise. And if you were to see the garden, then that's what it is communicating to you, that yes, you are spending time in paradise. So when we are seeking knowledge, we are learning knowledge, it is as if we are taking away our time from the worldly life and spending in paradise. That's the beauty of the time when we spend with knowledge. So this was just a little bit, we went into detail to discuss and catch up what we had done in the last class. Naveen Sava, who is reading today?
जी
Kareem Sahab. Kareem Sahab, go ahead.
Ya Ali Madad, we are reading the book of healing, chapter Allusions of Dream, and it's ebook page number 64, and we are on point number 5. The world of dreams of the noble prophets and the great Awliya is in fact different from that of the common people. Theirs is the dream of the friends of God, which is linked with spirituality. With respect to consciousness, it is like wakefulness, but the feeling and understanding in it is directed towards the spiritual world. It was because of this that Hazrat Ibrahim immediately started to act upon that command of his dream, in which he was asked to sacrifice his dear son. Surah 37, Ayat 102. In the yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there's more to it. Oh, go ahead and finish it.
Okay. In the Kamasul Quran, page 556, it is mentioned from Bukhari, volume 9, page 96, that the Holy Prophet said, "A good dream is the 46th part of prophethood." Further in Bukhari, it is narrated from Abu Hurayyar that the Holy Prophet said, "Nothing is left from prophethood except the Mubashariyat." People asked the Prophet, "What are Mubashiriyat?" He said, "Good dreams." That is, luminous dreams. Bukhari, volume 9, page 98.
Subhanallah, subhanallah. So we kind of talked about it, interestingly. And I've been reminded that I need to speak in Gujarati. So definitely, as we have spoken about it, so let me just summarize this point in Gujarati, that જ્યારે આપણે સમજીએ છીએ કે ખાબના અંદર આપણને આપણા એક્સરે દેખાડવામાં આવે છે કે કેવી રીતે આપણી રૂહ દિવસમાં કેવી રીતે ચાલે છે. તો પૈગંબરની એક હદીસ છે, કહેવામાં આવે છે કે પૈગંબરે પોતાના જેટલા માજીઝાત હતા એમાંથી એક માજીઝો જે છે એ બધાયના માણસ મોમિનો માટે મૂકીને ગયા. અને એ માજીઝાનો જે નંબર છે એ 46 નંબર છે. તો પહેલો, બીજો, ત્રીજો, ચોથો નહીં, 46 નંબરનો જે માજીઝો છે જેને કહેવાય છે ખાબ, રૂહાની ખાબ, એ મોમિનોને માટે મૂકીને ગયા. તો અહીંયા આપણે જ્યારે જોઈએ છીએ કે રૂહાની ખાબ, લ્યુમિનસ ડ્રીમ્સ, ગુડ ડ્રીમ્સ, એનો મતલબ જ એ થઈ જાય છે કે જે લોકો મોમિનીન છે એ લોકોના ખાબની અહીંયા વાત થઈ રહી છે. જે માણસો દુનિયાદાર હોય, દુનિયાની જીવન જીવતા હોય અને નફ્સની ગુલામી કરતા હોય એ લોકોની વાત નથી થઈ રહી. અહીંયા જે વાત થઈ રહી છે એ મોમિનોની વાત થઈ રહી છે. અને અહીંયા આપણે પૈગંબર ઇબ્રાહીમની ખાબની વાત કરી છે, જે કુરાની હદીસ અહીંયા દીધેલી છે 37/102. એમાં એ આપણે બતાવવામાં આવ્યું છે કે પૈગંબરે પોતાના ખાબમાં જોયું કે પોતાના બચ્ચાના ગરદન ઉપર એ છુરી ફેરાવે છે. હવે એક આમ માણસ આવો કોઈ ખાબ જોવે અને કહે કે આ ખાબ સાચો છે, તેને તો દુનિયાબાને તો આ કોઈ વાત બનશે નહીં. પણ જ્યારે પૈગંબરના ખાબમાં આ ચીજ આવી તો બધાને એવું લાગ્યું કે સમજે છે માણસો એમ કે પૈગંબર પોતાના બચ્ચાને લઈને ગયા અને એના જગ્યા ઉપર દુંબો આવી ગયો. હકીકતના અંદર આ વાત નથી. હકીકતના અંદર જે સમજ છે કે પૈગંબરને જ્યારે આ પોતાને આ ખ્વાબ જોયું તો એ પોતે તરત જ એના માયને સમજી ગયા હતા કે અહીંયા કુરબાનીની વાત થવામાં આવેલી છે, કે એનું જીવન જે છે એ ઇમામને સુપૃત કરવાનું છે, કે ઇમામની ખિદમતમાં પોતે પૂરી જિંદગી ગુજારશે. એનો મતલબ એ હતા. અને એ આપણે જે બકર ઈદ મનાવીએ છીએ એ કુરબાનીની ઈદમાં એ જ યાદમાં બનાવીએ છીએ કે જે લોકો મોમિનીન છે એ લોકો સિમ્બોલિકલી એ કુરબાની કરે છે અને ખુદાના દરબાર ઉપર એ કુરબાનીની એનો સવાબ પામે છે. આપણે માટે આજે જ્યારે આપણે આ ખ્વાબ જોઈ રહ્યા છીએ તો એક મિસાલ છે આપણા માટે કે ક્યારેક ક્યારેક આપણે ખૂબ zikરમાં, ઇબાદતમાં, અમાલની પાકીઝગીમાં રહેતા હોઈએ અને એવો ખ્વાબ આવે કે જેનો કોઈ સમજ ન હોય. એવું લાગે કે આપણે આ તો ખરાબ ખ્વાબ છે. મિસાલના તौर પર બીજી મિસાલ દઉં, કેમ કે આપણે સમજવું બી પડે કે કોઈ એમ જોવે કે મરી ગયા છે તો એકદમથી ડરી જાય કે આ તો ભાઈ મારી તો મોત આવી ગઈ, હું તો મરવાની છું, બસ રોવું ધોવું ચાલુ થઈ ગયું, ગભરાટ ચાલુ થઈ ગઈ. મોમિનના ખ્વાબ જે હોય છે એ મોમિન સમજે છે કે જ્યારે મોમિન પોતાને મુર્દા જોવે છે ખ્વાબના અંદર તેનો મતલબ એ થાય છે કે એ પોતાની જે એનિમલ સોલ છે, જે નફ્સ છે, જે મન છે એને પોતે મારી રહ્યા છે અને એની મોત થઈ રહી છે. તો અહીંયા જે આપણે સમજાવવામાં આવી રહ્યું છે કે આ પૈગંબરની એક નવાઝિશ છે જે આપણા માટે મૂકીને ગયા, કેના માટે? જે લોકો આ રસ્તા ઉપર ચાલે છે, આગળ ચાલે છે એ લોકો માટે, કે એ લોકોને ખ્વાબના તરફથી એ લોકોની રૂહાની તરક્કીની એ લોકોને ખબર પડે કે કેટલી તરક્કી થઈ રહી છે અને કેટલી તરક્કી નથી થઈ રહી. નથી થઈ રહીની મિસાલ બી આપણે હઝરત ઇબ્રાહીમની મિસાલથી જોઈ કે જ્યારે એ પોતાના ખ્વાબમાં સ્ટાર જોયું તો એ કહે છે હું બીમાર છું. તો બે એક્ઝામ્પલ હઝરત ઇબ્રાહીમની આપણે લીધી, પણ જે વાત અહીંયા જે થઈ રહી છે એ સમજ આપણે દેવામાં આવી રહી છે કે કેવી રીતે ખ્વાબ જે છે એ આપણે સમજણ માટે છે, કે આપણે સમજાવે છે. જી
Point number 6. From the hadith, it appears that the awliya of God, in their true dreams, are very close to the light of prophethood, which results in the form of spirituality. After them, it appears that there is the possibility of two forms of dreams for all mu'mins. Either they are verbally given glad tidings of a pleasant event, or they are warned by some means so that they should check the health and sickness of their soul in every condition. They should
they should take more and more benefit from the medicine of divine remembrance. So this paragraph, point number 6, talking about the hadith, it appears that the awliya of God. So who are awliya of the God? Awliya of the God, friends of the God. Those who are friends, who can become God's friend? Those who are pure, those who are obedient, those who are righteous, those who are imani, amal ki pakizgi. When all those conditions are being met, then they are close to the noor of Imam, noor of the Paigambar. And due to that, they see this result in the form of Ruhaniyat. And Ruhaniyat appears for Mu'mineen actually in two forms. What are those two forms? Either they see the dreams and they listen to something in their dreams, or they are seeing something pleasant, meaning these two senses are being used. They are given glad tidings if they are doing good. If they are not doing good, they will be warned in their dreams. When there is a warning, the indication is that they have to check their health and sickness. and they have to seek treatment. Just like the way when we are physically not healthy, immediately we start seeking health. We start seeking treatment because we want to be healthy. જેવી રીતે આપણે દુનિયાના અંદર જરા પણ બી બીમાર થઈએ તો તરત આપણે દવાઈ દારૂ કરીએ કે કેવી રીતે આપણે ઠીક થઈ જાય, બદન બરાબર ચાલવું જોઈએ. એવી જ રીતે જે લોકો મોમિનીન છે, ખુદાના દોસ્ત છે, તો આપણે એમ કહીએ કે મોમિનીન જે સાલિકીન છે એ રસ્તા ઉપર ચાલી રહ્યા છે કે જેને ખુદાનું દોસ્ત બનવું છે, ખુદાના નૂરથી કરીબ આવવાનું છે, ઇમામના એકદમ કરીબ આવવાનું છે, તો એ લોકોને ઇમામ કેવી રીતે દોરવણી આપશે પોતાના અંદર? એ લોકોને ખાબના અંદર સમજ આપશે કે જો તમે સારું કામ કર્યું છે કે નરસું કામ કર્યું છે. અગર સારું ખાબ આવ્યું તેનો મતલબ શું થયું કે તમે સારી રીતે ચાલી રહ્યા છો. અગર નરસું ખ્વાબ આવ્યું, કોઈ ખરાબ ચીજ જોઈ, તેનો મતલબ એ જ થયું કે તમને વોર્નિંગ આપી છે. હવે મિસાલને તौर પર આપણે જેવી રીતે પાણીની વાત કરી, ક્યારેક આપણે એવું ખાબ કોઈ જોવે કે એ માણસ કોઈ બી છે ખાબમાં કચરામાં છે, ગંદકીમાં છે અને હાથ ધોવે છે અને હાથ સાફ જ નથી થતો, હાથ ધોવે છે અને હાથ સાફ જ નથી થતો. તો એક મિસાલ છે, આ એક મિસાલ છે કે સફાઈ થઈ જ નથી રહી. તેનો મતલબ એ થયું કે રૂહના ઉપર ખૂબ ગુનાહ ચોટેલા છે, ખૂબ ગુનાહ છે. તો ગુનાહ છે તો સફાઈ નહીં થશે. તો તરત જ્યારે ઉઠ્યા તો તરત જ તોબો કર્યું, સજદામાં ગયા અને માફી માંગી અને તરત જ પોતે વધારે zikr કરવા માંડ્યા, અસ્તગફિરુલ્લાહની તસ્બીહ કાઢવા માંડ્યા. કેમ કે શું કહેવામાં આવ્યું છે તરત? They should check the health and sickness of their soul. We have this ability. You know how Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah has said that you got to be your own a doctor. You have to check your pulse every night. Imam was teaching us that we are capable of checking the pulse of our soul. How are we living our lives? So when we check the health and sickness of our soul, and if we find that we are not well, we are not healthy, it is our responsibility to heal ourselves. And how do we do that? The medicine is યાદગીરી. યાદગીરી રાખવાનું કામ ઘણું જ કઠણ છે, કારણ કે શૈતાન તમારી પાછળ લાગેલો જ હોય છે. To remember, to stay in remembrance is difficult, molasses. Why? Because shaitan is always after us. So it is important whenever we realize that we are seeing bad things in our dreams, we need to do more zikr and purify our heart and our soul and do better than what we did yesterday. There are very many times when we at night time check our pulse, we would realize, today I did talk bad about this person, or this person hurt me, I was thinking bad about this person. Why? Why did I do that? There'll be regret. There'll be feeling of this ashamed, that why did I do that? I am ashamed of myself. When we feel that way, then we seek forgiveness. We do giryazai. But if there is no knowledge, no realization, definitely then there is no difference. That person immediately falls down to an ordinary person. And here in this chapter, we are not talking about ordinary people. આપણે અહીંયા જે લોકો દુનિયાદાર છે એ લોકોની વાત જ નથી કરી રહ્યા. કેમ કે આ ખજાનો જે છે, આ ખાબની જે દુનિયા છે એ ખજાનો છે. કે લોકોના માટે છે? જે લોકો સારા મોમિનીન છે એ લોકો માટે છે. તો એક સવાલ જે આમ તો પર કરવામાં આવે છે, કોઈના દિલમાં આવતું હશે આ સવાલ, એટલે મારા દિલમાં ખ્યાલ આવ્યું કે આ વાત કરવી જોઈએ, કે કોઈ એમ કહે કે મને તો ખાબ જ નથી આવતા. It is impossible that one would not see the dreams. Medically, it is proven that we go into state in the sleep that we all see dreams. It is different that we do not remember the dreams. When we do not remember the dreams, that means that there is lack of divine remembrance. યાદગીરીમાં કચાશ છે. યાદગીરીમાં કચાશ છે. If there is no remembrance the way it is ought to be. Remember, someone would say, oh no, I remember, I sit and I do zikr for 1 hour, but I still don't see the dreams. Very humbly, that if one says that, that means that we are probably doing the zikr, definitely, but then we are losing what we have earned through bad deeds. Remember, every individual has to check themselves to know where they stand, how they are doing, what they are doing. And the soul will communicate to us in the form of the dreams, where do we stand. G.
Point number 7. From the wisdom-filled verse, Surah 39, Ayat 42, it appears that spiritual death, physical death, and sleep are all three alike in many respects, for the soul is seized in all three states. Nonetheless, after spiritual or physical death, each individual is given a complete book related to his deeds. However, for those who are alive, only a part of their record of deeds is given daily to each of them in sleep as an example, which is dream. This is so that every time they should necessarily rectify and make it better, lest on the day of resurrection they regret that they did not cure their diseases when they had been aware of the basic diseases of soul, batin.
Subhanallah, subhanallah. So this is the Quranic verse. Based on this, there is an explanation. So let's read this verse, 39 by 42. Allah takes the soul at the time of their death, and those that do not die during their sleep, then He keeps those for which He has decreed death and releases the others for a specified time. Indeed, in that are signs for people who give thought. Now we are here to give thought to these verses. That's why we are gathered here. Now when we read this verse, it seems like that, okay, when someone is sleeping or it is a time of death, Allah may keep some people alive and some people, their souls are seized. But in reality, this verse is not people. This verse is actually about souls. And we have studied in this book already that each one of us has innumerable numbers of souls, countless numbers of souls. And the way we were talking about that, normally we think that when we go to bed, when we sleep, the reason is that we are tired and we want to rest. What happens when we sleep? All the tired souls, they leave our being, and the fresh souls come in our being. This is what exactly this verse is saying. Sleep is considered younger sister of our death. And the way it says, spiritual death, physical death, and sleep are all interrelated. Physical death we understand. Spiritual death, we were talking about it when we kill the carnal soul. That is a spiritual death, which comes at a higher level, step by step. But sleep is very common, very known to us. Every night we go to sleep, thinking that we are going to rest. Rest is for the whole world. For Mu'min, it is to go into different world. It is to go to do farman bardari. Farman bardari? To when we rest, actually what happens, due to the hukum of our Lord, all the tired souls leave our body and the fresh souls come to our body. So when we wake up, we are active, happy, and willing to do whatever we need to do. We have strength in our body. And how can we understand that? Those people who sleep for long hours, they like to sleep 8, 10, 12 hours. Those people normally would wake up tired. Why? Because the time of sleep for Mominin is also limited. Momin doesn't sleep like that. BOH 6 hours, 8 hours. Momin doesn't sleep like that. When we sleep more than what is needed for our body, what happens? All those fresh souls become tired, and the person would wake up tired. But for Momin, even limited sleep will do the work, and they'll wake up fresh, willing to sit in bandagi, do more zikr, and they start their life very active and happily, no problems at all. So this verse actually અહીંયા આ વાત થઈ છે કે જ્યારે કોઈ માણસ જ્યારે સુવા માટે જાય છે તો આપણા અંદર જેવી રીતે આપણે વાત કરી તે ઘણી બધી રૂહ છે, ઘણી બધી રૂહ છે. તો જેટલી થાકેલી રૂહ છે એ નીકળી જાય છે અને ફ્રેશ તાજા દમ એકદમ રૂહ જે છે આપણા અંદર આવી જાય છે. અને જ્યારે આપણે સવારમાં ઉઠીએ છીએ તો આપણે એકદમ પોતાના અંદર તાકાત અને ફ્રેશનેસ હોય આપણા અંદર અને આપણે કામ કરવા માંડે. પણ આ ચીજ જે છે ખુદાએ બધાને દીધેલી છે. બધા દુનિયાના માણસો રાતના સુવે થાકેલા હોય અને ઉઠીને જાય તો બરાબર લોકોને ફ્રેશનેસ હોય. તો મોમિનના માટે શું ફરક છે? મોમિનના માટે અહીંયા જે સમજ દેવામાં આવી છે એ સમજ દેવામાં આવી છે કે જ્યારે એ લોકો સુવે તો તરત જ જે થાકેલી રૂહ જાતી હોય ને સારી રૂહ આવતી હોય ને તરત જ આપણે હિંમત દઈને આપણા બદનના અંદર આપણી રૂહાનિયતના અંદર એ આપણે તરત જ ફિલ્મ દેખાડવા માંડે. શું? ખાબ દેખાડવા માંડે. આપણે જેવું આપણું રૂહનો એક્સરે હોય એના મદદથી તરત જ આપણે ડ્રીમ્સ આવે અને આપણે ડ્રીમ્સમાં જોવા માંડીએ કે રૂહનો કેવો હાલ છે અને આપણને ખુદાની સાઇન્સ દેખાડવામાં આવે. જે લોકો ખુદા કે છે જે લોકો વિચાર કરે છે ને એ લોકો આ સાયન્સને સમજી શકશે. જે લોકો બેભાન જિંદગી ગુજારી રહ્યા છે એ લોકોને કાંઈ સમજ નહીં પડશે. Those who truly reflect and live mindfully, they will be able to understand what are these dreams, what are the signs which are being shown to me, where am I making errors, and what am I doing good, and I am grateful to Him. All that communication happens on daily basis. That is why, Momin and Salik, when they die, we hear this, that when that Momin died, there was no sorrow, there was no fear, and they died happily. Because Mominis deal with their accounts every night. They don't have to wait for the time of death, because that time is the day of Eid. Oh, I am going to meet Mola Baba. There is no sadness, there is no sorrow, because they are happy, because they are able to take care of their accounts every day, every day. This is what this verse is meaning. So in this paragraph, what we are learning, that when we are looking at sleep, sleep is an example for us. How would the physical death would be? And when we relate it to physical death, we can understand that when we sleep, all our senses are gone. They are shut down. We have no connection to the outer world and we are sleeping. But interestingly, there's another world, which is world of the dreams. And what are the evidences? How do we know that we are in the world? Sometimes we would find ourselves mumbling, or a person who is sleeping next to you, they'll say, oh, what were you saying in your dreams, in your sleep? And you were like, huh? We are talking in our dreams. Or sometimes people start sweating, or people start shaking due to fear or whatnot, or they start laughing. There are so many experiences people experience during their sleep time. Why? Because they are traveling in the world of the dreams. For Momin and Salik, all that travel is for a reason. It is showing them the status of their soul, giving them glad tidings or warnings, giving them their accounts to improve themselves or be shukr guzar, that what they are doing is good for them. તો અહીંયા આપણે એ સમજી રહ્યા છીએ કે મોમિનો માટે આ બહુ અલગ જ દુનિયાઓ છે. જેવી રીતે સુવે એ તરત જ એ લોકો એ દુનિયામાં પૂગી જાય. અને આપણે મિસાલથી સમજીએ કે કેવી રીતે આ દુનિયા છે. તો આપણે ખબર છે અમુક ટાઈમ ઉપર આપણે સાંભળ્યું હશે કે કોઈ નિંદરમાં બોલતું હોય, કે નિંદરમાં હસવા માંડે, કે નિંદરમાં રડવા માંડે, વોટ એવર ઇટ ઇઝ, રાઈટ? કોઈ બી મિસાલ છે એ આપણે સમજાવે છે કે એકબીજા વર્લ્ડમાં ટ્રાવેલિંગ થતી હોય છે, એકબીજા વર્લ્ડના અંદર ટ્રાવેલિંગ થતી હોય છે. હવે આપણે અહીંયાથી મિસાલ લઈએ કે જે મોમિન ખૂબ ઇલ્મ જ્ઞાનમાં, ઝિકરમાં બહુ ધ્યાન રાખીને ઇબાદતમાં આગળ વધે અને ઇમામથી ખૂબ દુઆ કરીને સૂવે, તો જેવી રીતે સૂવે ને તો બદન તો પોતાનું કામ કરે કે થાકેલી રૂહ જાય અને સારી રૂહ આવે તો તરત ખુદાના હુકમથી થતું હોય બદનના અંદર, પણ તરત જ એની ટ્રાવેલિંગ શરૂ થઈ જાય ખાબના વર્લ્ડના અંદર કે એને ઇલ્મ દેવામાં આવે, એને સમજ દેવામાં આવે, ડ્રીમ્સના દ્વારા એને ઇલ્મ દેવામાં આવે. તો જ્યારે આપણે મેરાજની બી વાત કરીએ છીએ કે પૈગંબર ખુદાના જે મેરાજ પર ગયા તો શું કહે છે મૌલા કલામે મૌલામાં, મેરાજ खुदा का रसूल पाया जिन्हें की थी सब रात हक बंदगी, ऐसे मोमिन को मेराज होवे जो દિલ સે નિકાલે દુનિયા ગંદગી. તો આ કેટલું બ્યુટીફુલ કે નાઇટ ટાઈમ ઉપર એ આખી ઇબાદત કરતા હતા. તો ઇબાદત બી કરતા હતા, થોડું આરામ બી કરતા હતા, અને આરામ જ્યારે કરતા હતા ને, સૂતા હતા પલંગ ઉપર, ત્યારે એને મહેરાજ પર ગયા હતા. તો શું થયું હતું મહેરાજમાં? એ પોતે પોતાની ડ્રીમના વર્લ્ડના અંદર એનું ટ્રેવલ થયું હતું, અને એ ક્યાં ભૂલતા હતા? આસમાનોની સૈર કરી હતી. આ બધું એક આખો વર્લ્ડ છે જે એક્ઝિસ્ટ કરે છે. પણ અહીંયા આપણે એક બીજી ચીજ સમજવાની છે. There is another concept which we have to realize that when we talked about different worlds, there is external world, then there is a world of imagination, then there is a world of dreams. The fourth world is world of spirituality. For our prophet, when we talk of Miraj, which happened when he was sleeping, actually he traveled from the world of dreams to world of ruhaniyat. He was that awake. Of course, he was a prophet, so he was very awake, very mindful even in his sleep. And there's a saying actually, he says that for me, my eyes close, my eyes rest, but my heart is awake. Even in his sleep, he was awake. Awake meaning physically awake, spiritually awake. All the senses were functioning. And when we listen to the story of Miraj, that he flew to the sky, to the heavens, then he's talking, he's meeting and seeing, listening, all that is going on in the world of spirituality. So when a Mu'min Salik has the habit of sleeping, seeing the dreams, Yatul Khayal, world of imagination, all this is step by step when we are moving on. Then comes this spiritual death, which is also step by step, killing the carnal soul. That moment as Salik is able to travel from world of dreams to world of spirituality. But all that happens step by step. And in reality, all these concepts are right in front of us, but because we are able to, at times it is difficult to separate each point and to be able to see. Look at these words here. A part of his record of deeds is given daily to each of them in sleep as an example, which is dream, so that every time he should necessarily rectify and make it better, lest on the day of resurrection. Now, when we read day of resurrection, we think when we die, then there'll be day of judgment. But those mu'mineen who intentionally walk on the path, they seek their day of judgment on every day. They do not wait for that account to be happening when they die. It is happening now, right now, every day. And remember the concept of mutu kabla antamutu, die while living. When a Mu'min Salik is able to do that, they are fana fil imam during their lifetime. They are able to get to Qiyamah during their lifetime. And that's what exactly our peers have done. And that is why they were able to teach us, because they had seen all the Batni world, and they were teaching us about Amal ki pakizgi. Pick up Kalame Maula, Amal ki pakizgi. Ginan, Lobh, Moh, Kam, Kirod. All those things were taught to us. Why? So we can purify ourselves, we can cure all these diseases, so we can enter into this Batin. We can open up the world of Batin and see all the realities and recognition. So let us stop here, inshallah. Next week we will start from point number 8. Shukran lillah walhamdulillah. Ji Naveen Sahiba.
Subhanallah, Subhanallah. It's beautiful that we're understanding all of these things, that how deeds are dependent on to be able to remember these dreams. So shukr Mawla for this beautiful understanding. Friends, if you have any questions, you can come forward. You can post it on the chat, or you can unmute your devices and come forward. Ji Dolly Saiba. We cannot hear you. If any friends have any questions or comment, you can unmute.
May I ask a question?
Ji.
Is there a way to keep, you talk about pulse checking and how we can do that every night, but the day is so long, and if every second counts, then is there a way to keep track of that more specifically rather than just kind of an overview of the big things that might come to our mind at the end of the night to think about?
Very good question, Karima. So what you are saying that there are so many things happening during the daytime, how do we keep account? And those who are intentionally remembering Imam during the daytime, their heart is at peace. They are living life very calmly. And it comes step by step. Remember that it happens step by step with practice. When we are living very calmly and doing what we need to do, all what we do, we are watching ourselves. In the beginning, the way you said, it's all big events or big things which came and or did was done that you would remember. But how would you remember every chit ki chori, the way Peer teaches us, right? That even a minute thought, if you had a bad thought, it is being watched and it is being recorded. How do you take account of all those thoughts? It comes with practice. And Nachis had explained it some time ago that in the beginning, what happens when you do something wrong, think something bad, or do a bad deed or whatever, a bad thought came in, one would realize after doing it. In fact, at night time, you sit down, you do zikr, and you recall thinking, what did you do? And you think of that, and it comes to your mind. So it was long gone that you realize that, I did that, probably a few days after even. But eventually, with this intention of remembering and doing zikr, what happens that you are able to recall it the same day, then after a few hours, then the same hour, then at that time. And then you're able to say to yourself, I do not need to think like that. So every second, every breath, a moment will be able to keep awareness because they are watching themselves. What am I doing? When we live our life in the worldly, life, and we become relaxed, and we become, when we are sitting with families and talking, we become mindless. We become mindless, and we are just chatting, and afterwards we would realize, what did I say? Why did I do that? I should not have done that. And that realization, continued realization day after day after day, makes us conscious that though I'm in a company, I have to be watching myself. Remember, when we go out, meet with public, we are very mindful. We are polite, we are very civil. But when we are in close family members, we may not remember those things and we become very relaxed and we say whatever. But then those who are Momini, they would realize that, I should not have said that because my Mawla will not be pleased with me. So I hope you see how that it all happens step by step. And if you realize there and there that you made a mistake or you thought something bad about somebody, immediately that moment as Salik will say, Tobo Tobo Taksidar, oh Mawla, please forgive me. I should not have thought that. I should not have said that. Or even when we, in classes, we just heard, beautifully Karim said, Mafi. Because when we make a mistake, we become so conscious, immediately we seek forgiveness. We seek forgiveness because that becomes our habit. We do not want to make mistakes. We are human, full of errors. When we do that, Allah has taught us that we should ask for forgiveness. The teachings are with us, so we seek forgiveness. But again, it all happens step by step, step by step. Ji.
Subhanallah, subhanallah. Friends, if you have any other question or comment, you can come forward. any point which, made you feel that, yes, this relates to me, or some understanding. If you would like to come and share, unmute, and you can share.
Can I ask one question, please?
Ji, Ji, Yasmin.
We cannot hear you, Yasmin Saiba.
All right, while she's setting up her mute, I see another question here posted that I see dreams. When I see, I remember it at that time, but when I wake up in the morning, I forget about it. What do I do that I remember my dreams? Very valid question, and it is very um, commonly it happens that you do not remember your dreams. So what you need to do, number one, when you see the dream at that time, you can record it. Our phones are accessible at night time. Just press the record button and record it. Or if you are able to write it down there and there, do that. Because we are Mominin, and if we are interested to know what is the result being given to me, when you saw the dream, it doesn't make sense because you have to reflect and understand. Write it down, record it, so when you wake up in the morning, you remember it. All right, so that was one. I see another question here. Someone is asking about snake, when they see snake in the dream. Remember, dreams are ours. It is very individualized. The first is actually our own evaluation. Seeing snake possibly can indicate that the way we see the characteristics of snakes, they're very revengeful. And snakes are someone, if they have treasure, they will keep sitting there guarding it because they don't want to share with anybody. They don't want to share. They are greedy and they do not like to share. So if one of these characteristics are present in ourselves, and if we see the snake, it indicates. So either there is some greediness in relation to something in our life, either there is habit of revenge, thoughts were bad for somebody who has hurt or done bad thing, whatever. The characteristics of snakes are these: revenge, greed, not sharing. So what we can do when you see the snake is to evaluate ourselves. Do I do these things? And if you find that out, that these are happening in my life, my thoughts are like that, meaning that Shukr Mola. First, you say Shukr Mola that you got the results while you are living. What you are going to do? Tobo Tobo. Seek Mola's mercy. Say Astaghfirullah's tasbih. La ilaha illa anta subhanaka ki tasbih. And you seek Mola's madad. You stay more in remembrance. Remind yourself to not be repeating the same behavior. This answer is sufficient. Ji.
Yasmin Saiba, you want to go ahead and ask the question or comment? I'm not sure if her mute is working or not. Any other friend, we can take last comment or a question. You can come forward. Okay, if no questions or comments, I think we need to reflect a lot from the learnings from today. Inshallah, we will all reflect. And thank you, Niamat Saiba, for a wonderful session. Thank you, friends. Yali Madad.
Yali madad, yali madad.
يعني مدام
Thank you, Pak Imam Lali Madan.
Yani Mama, thank you so much.
Shukr Mola, yali madad.
Shukr, shukr, Mola, shukr. Mola
Thank you,
blessing to all of
Yadmata.
us.
Yali Madad.
Yeah, leave it there.
Yali Madad.